All right. Hey there, guys. So what we are going to do real quick, we're in my kitchen, and this is for objective two of the geometric measurement and modeling, which is about finding two-dimensional cross sections out of three-dimensional objects. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make one of my wife's favorite things. Maybe I'll even actually like dress it for you guys so you can see. But um, I have a tomato, I have a cucumber, and I have a lot of mozzarella. We don't actually need this much mozzarella, but um, so I'm going to I'm going to slice these things up to give you some demonstrations of how this cross section process works, and also to make a delicious salad. So let's start with what I think is the simplest. Okay, sorry if I stand up and you can't see me, so I'm going to stay leaned over here. Okay, so we're going to start with the tomato. All right, now the tomato is a three-dimensional object. It is roughly a sphere. Let's just for today's video, let's just assume this is a sphere. Okay, so if I have a sphere and I can imagine, now you're going to have to actually imagine, but I can actually do it. Okay, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to slice my sphere. So let's just slice it. We'll slice it this way. So I'm actually going to physically slice it in half, okay? So now I've taken a two-dimensional object and I've sliced it to make a cross section. So here's what you have to be able to do in your head is imagine taking that two-dimensional or three-dimensional object and then looking at the cross section. Now, you guys, oh, that's gross. You guys tell me right now, what shape is that? Well, that two-dimensional shape is a circle that I sliced out of a three-dimensional shape. So if a question asks you about a cross-section of a sphere, the two-dimensional cross-section of a sphere is just a circle. Set that aside. Okay, now there are also going to be a number of these questions that ask you about more complicated shapes. So one of the diagnostic questions actually asks you about what are all the possible cross sections of a cube. So what I've made here is I have a mozzarella cube, okay? It's close anyway. It's about the same length on all sides. So let's think about all the different cross sections that I can do of that. So what if I just did something simple, like if I just, here, let's see if you guys can see that. There we go. What if I just slice that straight down the middle, okay? Now, see if you can guess, right? So now you do that thing like in Blue's Clues where you talk to your computer screen, okay? When I open this up, what kind of two-dimensional shape am I going to see? Well, it made a square. So one common cross-section of a cube is just a square. Now, that's not the only way that I can cut this, okay? So what if I were to take, I've got a couple of cubes. What if I take, okay, this is a new cube, okay? What if I do something crazy like slice one of the corners off? Let's see if I can pull that off, okay? So I'm going to kind of go at an angle. All right. And I am slicing. Oh, yeah, let's see if this works, guys. I don't know if it's gonna. I think it should. Come on, slice the corner right. Oh, perfect. Got it. Okay, are you ready? Okay. So what I did, I sliced the corner off. You guys saw. All right. Now, when I pull this off and I look at it, what shape did that make? That made a triangle. You'll also see that left here, you can also see the triangle. So out of a cube, it's actually possible for me to slice a triangle as well as a square. Now, I think I can actually probably even do one more. Let's see. What if I were to do something like, will that work? Yeah, that should, right? What if I did like a diagonal all the way through? Okay, now take a look at what I've got. I've got one side is longer than the other, which means that I have a rectangle. So I started with cubes, and depending on how I sliced it, I could make a square, I could make a rectangle, or I could make a triangle just by slicing pieces off, okay? Those are all two-dimensional cross sections of three-dimensional objects. Now, the last thing I want to show you here is the cucumber, okay? Because there are going to be a bunch of questions that talk about making cross sections that are perpendicular and parallel. All right, so what we have here now, I have two cylinders. Now, I know they're not perfect cylinders, but let's assume they're perfect cylinders, okay? My cucumbers are cylinders. Now, we might have a question that says something like, what is the cross section that is perpendicular to the base? Now, okay, the base of this cylinder is the cutting board, right? So if I think of the base is where my knife is at. Now, perpendicular means that it makes a right angle, okay? So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut perpendicular to the cutting board, which means I'm going to make a right angle with the cutting board, right? So if I go straight down, my cutting board's like this, my knife is like this, and I'm going to have perpendicular, a right angle. So let's think about when I slice this cucumber, this cylinder, at a 90-degree angle to my cutting board, that's perpendicular. What am I going to see when I open it up? Ready? It's a rectangle. Now, it's not a perfect rectangle because it's a cucumber, not a real cylinder. But if you did this with a cylinder, you would see a rectangle. Okay? Now, there's going to be other questions that ask you for a parallel cross section. All right? So the last one was perpendicular. Remember that parallel is like this. So if I have a cross section, ooh, look, like my tattoos are parallel. If I have a cross section that is parallel to the base, that means that with my knife, I'm going to have to slice like that instead of like that. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take my knife and let's cut, I'm going to cut my finger here, a parallel cross section. So that cross section was parallel to the base. What am I going to get when I take a look at it? It's a circle. So what you're going to have to do in this section of the PFA is imagine taking that three-dimensional object, putting it on a cutting board, and slicing it the way that it tells you, and then seeing what shape you turn out with, okay? I would highly recommend that you guys sketch these things out as you're working through them. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can certainly send me an email. You can get on a Zoom meeting. If you request a Zoom meeting with me and I need to cut up some fruit for you or some vegetables, I'm happy to do that. Okay, so if you only came for the geometry, you can leave at this point. If you came for the salad recipe, I want you to stay, okay? So here's what I'm going to do for the salad recipe. So I'm going to grab a bowl real quick. All right. Now, I'm going to chop some of my ingredients up fairly fine here. I have to keep leaning because my computer video is way down there. All right. So I like my my cucumber pieces to be pretty small. So I like about that size of cucumber piece. All right. So we're going to slice that up. What do you guys think, though? I'm going to do the whole cucumber. This is a really good summertime salad. Although it is, I'm saying it's a salad, there's actually not any there's not any lettuce in this. Just tomatoes, cucumbers, mozzarella, and I'll. So what we have now, I've just got my tomato, cucumber, there we go. Tomato, cucumber, mozzarella all in there. That's fine, anybody can do that. The dressing is what you can get that out. All right, so take your shaker. It's gonna help you mix up your salad dressing. We'll put it there. All right. You wanna do just a little bit of olive oil. If you're a snob, make sure it's extra virgin. Balsamic vinegar goes next. Pretty close to even parts of balsamic vinegar and olive oil. I like to put a little seasoning in there too. Just kind of like grab whatever is in your cabinet that sounds good. So, like, I think garlic tastes good in there. So you just a little garlic powder. Basil is good in this. I don't think I have basil though. Yeah, if you have like fresh basil, put some fresh basil in there. But here's gonna be the trick, okay? Some people just put vinegar and oil on their salad, but that doesn't quite get the trick done. Because here's the deal: vinegar and oil don't mix. They're never going to mix together. They're always just going to stay separate like that. So you need a third component, which is called an emulsifier. So your emulsifier is going to be something that will stick to both oil and vinegar, and it's going to mix it up in this suspension that's going to stay together much longer than just vinegar and oil. Hey, do you want to come be in the video? Go over. You would actually be the right height for making this video. All right, so I didn't show you. So my emulsifier is going to be Coop's honey mustard. Dijon mustard is also really good as an emulsifier for a salad dressing like this. I don't have any Dijon, and honey sounds nice. So we just put about that much honey mustard in there. All right, now it's made for shaking and mixing. So all we do now is just shake and mix. Hayden, can you pour all that out on the salad, please? Yep.
Okay.
Yep, there we go. So Hayden just poured make sure you get all of it out. Yeah, that's good stuff. Don't leave any behind. And technically, folks, that is a balsamic vinaigrette. Fancy, right? You can stir it up, or you can just give it a little shake like that. Ooh, that's pretty saucy right there. All right, and let's grab, oh, perfect. I have my dishwashing stuff now. All right, so we end up looking kind of like that. At this point, you could throw some salt, pepper, more garlic powder on it if you wanted to, whatever makes it taste good. Definitely be a great place to put some fresh basil in. Oh yeah, we want to get a little bit of everything in there. And get tomato on that one. All right, and there you go. All right, guys. Good luck on the geometry. Good luck on the cooking. Have a great Tuesday. And let me know if you need any help.